At First Choice Bank, we know you can't always make it before the bank closes. With our integrated teller, you can talk to a live person as late as 7 p.m. on weekdays and noon on Saturdays. It's not just an ATM, it's an ITM. First Choice Bank, your choice for banking.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
A little bit of a soggy end to our Tuesday, but luckily things are still pretty mild temperature-wise. I'm meteorologist Gabe here for Mississippi Live Weather at 10. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope that you guys are staying dry, but we'll be tracking those showers coming up here in just a moment. As we begin those headlines here in the Room to Room Weather Center, well, simply put, soggy night ahead. But luckily, that's just the soggy night. And by the morning, those showers taper off, and we'll be seeing much better conditions and much drier conditions by Wednesday afternoon. But with those drier conditions, a brief dip in temperatures is expected for your Thursday, especially your Thursday morning. And we'll track those temperatures here in just a moment. But the real golden question at the 10 o'clock hour on Tuesday is, where are we headed this Friday night for our game of the week? Well, first, let's take a look at that forecast. Looking like a mild one for sure. Maybe even a few showers we're tracking across the region, but that does depend on where we are headed. 52 degrees at first hit, 51 towards that final buzzer this Friday night around that 7 o'clock hour. But we are excited to get out to, drumroll please. Exactly. I know it was the worst drum roll ever. I apologize. I hope yours was better at home. We are headed to East Union to see whoever comes out of 2A Region 2, as that tournament is currently ongoing, but the vote speaks for itself. 43% of you decided that East Union is where we need to be this Friday night. Excited to get those highlights going. Excited to head back to one of the Mainers' alma mater, and that is, of course, my beautiful bride. So it's going to be a fun time out there. Excited to make it happen, and yeah, it's going to be a good battle. Both, I guess, every team out there right now having a fantastic season. And bear with me behind the scenes. I'm actually going to pull up the graphic that kind of shows off those matchups. And as we pull that up, there we go. That looks good right there. Good enough, right? Well, as we take a look at those matchups, we are going to be watching the girls this week, and they are taking on Bruce versus East Union right now. We do have a Water Valley facing, I believe, Myrtle there on the bottom side of the bracket. Whoever wins those two matchups will play Friday night, and that is going to be our game of the week. So what happens Thursday matters. Bruce, of course, winning tonight. They're playing Thursday against the Urchins, and then we'll see what happens from there. But this is basically how it's going across the area. So if it looks a little bit confusing, welcome to the playoffs, right? It's going to be a fun time, and we are definitely excited to get out there on the hardwood for games that officially are win or go home. So now it matters, and those winners are going to have a little bit more importance as we head into playoff play. The first 12 for your overnight hours as we bring it back in here to our Tuesday night. 62 degrees, 11 p.m., 61 there by 2 a.m. Mild conditions continue even into those early morning hours of our Wednesday, 8 a.m., 51 degrees. Big reason why? Well, you see it. All of that rainfall in the forecast. A few rumbles, not impossible either, but this isn't going to be a stormy or significant setup. It's really going to have little impacts in those rainfall accumulations, and that's really it with this system. Again, those rumbles going to be few and far between, but not impossible to get a couple of them during those overnight hours. As we take a look at where there are some drops falling from the sky, that's up in Alcorn County, 61 degrees. You're seeing just how saturated that environment is with 59-degree dew points. And as that moisture continues to remain overhead, that's where we have the chance at a few of those showers. And these are scattered all the way across North Mississippi, continuing to become more widespread during those overnight hours, making a little bit of a drier atmosphere. What that tells me, 62 degrees with dew points at 53 means there is a little bit of a dry layer here at the surface, and that's going to prevent some of that rainfall from reaching all the way to the ground. And if you are in Noxubee County tonight and in our chat, go ahead and let us know what you're seeing, and we'll go from there. But that's what we're seeing from a meteorological perspective, but we do expect some of those raindrops to make it all the way to the surface once we get more of that moisture to build into North Mississippi. And taking a look out there in Greenville, this is where those showers started to move into earlier this evening, but that has all translated east, but still a few sprinkles, not impossible for folks out there in Greenville tonight. 61 degrees though. No one's complaining about those temperatures, that's for sure, because of all this rainfall in the area, keeping those mild temperatures around. As we put this on a loop, you can see that over the past 6 hours or so, those have worked their way across the Mississippi River and started to extend east of I-55 and then extending across the entirety of North Mississippi. But what you're seeing with this setup is not really any yellows, oranges, or reds. And this is what our legend says at the top. The greens are really the lower end of the spectrum in regards to rainfall output, and that's why we're not overly concerned with this setup at all. If anything, it's giving us exactly what we need in just rainfall. No severe weather attached to it, no strong storms attached to it. Just going to be a light, steady rainfall for a few of us during those overnight hours. As we take a look at a few of those rainfall rates, we are tracking some areas that are a bit higher than others, but even then, the highest sections are not a significant output. About 1/4 inch an hour there in West Helena. Same thing just outside of Louisville in Winston County. 5/100 inch an hour there in northern Lee County around Baldwin. And then 8/100 inch an hour, yes, 100ths of an inch an hour over there towards Aberdeen and right along Highway 45. But these showers, a large part of it, I don't really expect it to be reaching the surface just because it's not exactly that saturated of an atmosphere just yet. But as more of these rain showers move into the area, that's where those chances will become a bit more likely. If we look at those severe threats, again, there's nothing of note with this forecast. If we look at this, it's basically going to be some of those rainfall outputs, but even those not overly high. So we were talking about flash flooding today being our severe weather preparedness week. Yeah, no flash flooding with this setup, fortunately, but possibly by the weekend, we could see some of those flooding totals. And if we track our hail threat, brought to you by True Shield Roofing, again, no hail, no severe weather expected. So fortunately, nothing to worry about tonight, except for that rainfall. As long as we're inside, heading to bed, this is perfect sleeping weather, in my opinion. So rounding out the night in a pretty good way, I will say. Just the unfortunate part is you got to wake up Wednesday morning and can't enjoy this forever. That front not far away, moving right there across Memphis, Forest City, and Little Rock, Arkansas. That, of course, is attached to this larger system that's going to be moving well up there towards the north and northeast. Extending along that line, we do have those showers continuing to form. And again, if you look along this line, nothing extremely heavy, nothing that significant, and that's where we'll stay during those overnight hours as well. So as we track that out on Futurecast, it is not going to be anything too significant. At most, we could see a few of these reds and oranges move into North Mississippi. And what that'll be is heavier rainfall during those early morning commutes. So this is a look at your Wednesday morning around 5 and 6 a.m. And you can see these reds that are popping up. That's that more significant rainfall and potentially a rumble or two as we get into those early morning forecasts. But again, not going to see high impact event, not going to see flash flooding, not going to see anything severe. So again, no note in that forecast that we need to be worried about. We are looking good for our Wednesday. Just get those windshield wipers ready to go. Our meteorologist Maggie McCauley tracking these showers throughout the entirety of her morning show, 6:30 all the way through that 8 o'clock hour. So if you're watching that morning show, you will be prepared for anything on your Wednesday morning. By the afternoon, some lingering moisture in the forecast, but that works its way south with this frontal boundary, leaving us with a much clearer, much drier afternoon, wrapping up our Wednesday nicely. The unfortunate part is those dry conditions do come at a cost, and that is those temperatures significantly dropping heading overnight and into our Thursday morning. So the next 24 going to be a whirlwind of a story because we're mild to start, rain chances to start, but drier to end and cooler at the end. We're getting pretty cold heading into our Thursday morning. Not as cold as last week, that's a for sure, but it is going to see a bit of a drop. So keep those long sleeves around. You will need it as we get into our Thursday morning. But we'll have all those latest details coming up here in the next 60 seconds live from the Room to Room Weather Center. We're also going to be tracking those SEC baseball forecasts this weekend. Hey, it's opening weekend, but for those couples out there, it is Valentine's Day as well. So if you're looking to make any plans, we'll have the latest on that forecast of how you need to plan your Valentine's Day or opening weekend coming up right after the break.
Game day brings its ups and downs, celebration and disappointment, anxiety and relief, friends and enemies. You can always argue over who should have won, but everyone can agree on great food. Appetizers, entrees, drinks, party platters, or even the taste of sweet victory. There's something for every season at Eat With Us restaurants.
As a bankruptcy firm, Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling realizes many people are worried about their finances. We're here to guide you through the next steps to restart your life with easy video appointments. New clients don't have to leave home to get information about becoming debt-free. Also, convenient in-office appointments are available at the low cost of $340 upfront for a Chapter 13. You can be on your way to being debt-free. Contact Mitchell, Cunningham, and Bowling today or visit our website at mcdebtfree.com. We are here to help you. Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, welcome back in here to the Room to Room Weather Center, working to get your photos into the show tonight. And of course, Weather Watchers showing up and showing out. Stephanie in Saltillo submitting this one this morning in Saltillo. And as you can see, it's a beautiful sunrise if you can get through all of that fog. And so that moisture played an impact in our forecast this morning, and it continues to play a part in our forecast this evening. So full circle moment, just different ways that the moisture has impacted it. So a foggy start there in Lee County, and that carried over into Prentiss County as well. Tammy submitting this shot in Boonville, and again, a little bit of those hazy conditions, but that sun is definitely shining there in the distance, and was a pretty good forecast today, all things considered. I went out and ran a little bit to enjoy some of these great conditions before the soggier conditions moved into town. I hope you did the same because it was a pretty good Tuesday, all things considered, for early February. Now, Forrest submitting another picture of the daffodils there in Pontotoc. Can't get enough of these pictures. I'm calling it the daily daffodil picture because we need it at this point, letting us know the growing season is here, at least for now. But we are still in late winter, so let's hope that no more freezing temperatures are in the forecast. Of course, the next 7 days look pretty good, but I know those daffodils are definitely hoping that that warm weather can linger, and so are we. But I do want to note one thing. Whenever I was out running, I did notice that all of the seeds and stuff was falling from the trees, so it does show that planting season is starting to commence for some of those plants and crops around the area. So we're just getting more into that next season, and again, very excited. I know folks in chat going ahead and talking about it, they're excited about that warmer weather as well. Now, heading into our Valentine's Day weekend, one note with this forecast: temperatures are going to be phenomenal. Once again, mid-60s, no complaints there. But the complaints come into the forecast with the rainy conditions for both your Saturday and your Sunday. Now, Saturday is the more likely of the two to see widespread rain chances, but that wraparound moisture impacting our Sunday as well. So if you're looking to make any Valentine's Day plans, Matt said it earlier this evening, Friday, your best outlook of getting any of those plans in, especially if they are outdoors. Now, this is a look of earlier today. This basically shows the instability that was in the environment today. This is a horseshoe vortex, meaning, some of those tubes that basically have that rotation, but they're more in a horizontal development. If you pick those up by the end, that's where we get some of that tornadic development, but this is a unique phenomena that's basically picking it up by the middle, and it basically looks like a horseshoe. So a great shot there. This was Stan with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers there in Starkville, submitting this on his way home. So look up. You never know what you might see, and that's definitely a cool spectacle that he got to see, one that I've never seen myself. So I'm definitely going to look up and try and see if I can see one as well. But it won't be the case tonight just because of how soggy those skies are. As we take a look around the area, continues to be that light to moderate rainfall over the top of North Mississippi, as has been the case for the last several hours. I mean, put this on a loop once again. This basically timed out pretty perfectly with what Futurecast was saying yesterday, basically moving across I-55 at that 6 o'clock hour and then becoming more widespread as those nighttime hours pushed into play. And that's where we're getting that in full effect tonight at 10 o'clock. Now, there is still some breaks, so this is going to be more scattered development, but nonetheless, those chances are there. And if you're out and about, it'd be worth your while to just go ahead and grab an umbrella. If we look at some of these storm tops, though, this is what I like to look at whenever we have this uniform rainfall, because it shows us that there's not anything that's lifting the atmosphere too much. So there's not an extreme amount of instability. There's just enough moisture and enough of a lifting mechanism to make some rain showers take place. So if we look at this near Amory and Aberdeen, that cell down there, we're talking 20,000 feet in some spots, and that's not overly high. Usually with severe weather, we're 30,000 plus feet, and nowhere close to that across North Mississippi. Even as we look up there towards Arkansas, where potentially we could get a few rumbles of thunder with this system, we're still talking about 20 to potentially 25,000 feet. So still below that threshold to where I would start, catching my attention. But we are watching this into those overnight hours. But again, not expecting impacts. And I'm going to push that as we head through this broadcast, because I do not want anyone to be concerned with this setup. And as we look at those rainfall rates, once again, we're not talking about anything overly heavy. So our One concern being the rainfall. Even the rainfall is not concerning. We're talking at most a quarter of an inch an hour, and that's not going to amount to anything concerning, especially with how fast this system is moving. As we look at those rainfall totals, almost non-existent, right? Like, it's hard to see because it's so light outside. And if I populate in a few of these, primarily, let's go ahead and look at Memphis in particular, up there towards DeSoto County. You do get some of those heavier outputs. Now, that's going to be the more significant rainfall pushing in later tonight, and that is amounting to a half of an inch in some spots right around the South Haven area, and even north there into Tennessee, getting that same amount. But as we work our way towards Hernando, Lewisburg, about a quarter of an inch all the way up to just under half of an inch there. Now let's get back on our home view, and you can see the rest of North Mississippi. I'll just give you a couple locations. I'm not going to go over doing this, but I do want you to know that it's not amounting to too much of anything. So some of our models were over projecting some of those rainfall totals, and we talked about that earlier, how it was a bit ambitious. Right now we're just at trace amounts. We'll probably add about a quarter of an inch, maybe up to a half of an inch in some spots, but that's more on the higher side than what we're expecting to happen. But it's possible, just not really expected for a large portion of us in North Mississippi. Smithville, 58 degrees tonight. It's going to be a mild forecast. And yes, some of those showers do try to work their way into the forecast. Pontotoc, a bit drier there in that break with the rainfall, but more rainfall in the back end expected to move into the area. Still light to moderate in nature. 57 degrees though, and as long as that moisture sticks around, those mild temperatures will too. Cleveland, one of the areas that saw those first rounds of showers, and still as of at that 10 o'clock hour, 61 degrees. I'm looking on the ground to see if there's any puddling or any slick surface, and it's really hard to tell. So what that tells me is this is not that impactful. Hear those words before? Yeah, I've said it a couple of times. That's what I want you guys to take home with you. Our rain chance hour by hour through the night stays about 40 to 50% just because of how much that coverage is. Now, this is not going to be impactful coverage, but nonetheless, rain chances will be in the forecast. So prepare accordingly. Have those windshield wipers going. I timed it out. It's on the 1.5 setting. That's the perfect amount for this type of rainfall. As we get more into our Wednesday morning hours, though, there's that red that's showing up. This is going to be that same system that's out in Arkansas currently. As that works its way into North Mississippi, it'll be able to build with the ingredients that are in place and potentially produce a rumble of thunder, but no strong storms, no severe storms, and honestly, hard to say there'll be storms at all. I do expect this to be primarily higher amounts of rainfall rather than it being anything overly stormy. But as we look at those rainfall totals, once that system does push in overnight, we're talking additional amounts of a quarter of an inch, half of an inch in Iuka. I'm not sold on it, but is it possible to get 4/10, 3/10 of an inch? No, that's definitely in the realm of possibilities, but that's going to be, again, on the higher side of things. As we look at low temperatures, 40s up top, 50s down low, and that is how the forecast is going to shape up as that frontal system pushes across the area. So those more mild temperatures further towards the south, because that's where the cold front has not moved through, whereas the northern half, that's where the cold front is already starting to take effect. As that system continues to build towards the south, it'll take all of these rain chances with it, but that doesn't exclude a few of those lingering showers in the forecast by 10 a.m. Still isolated to scattered in nature and continuing to build south towards those early afternoon hours. And by the time we get towards 2 or 3 o'clock, we'll see dry conditions over the top of North Mississippi. But back behind it, we're talking about dry conditions coming at a cost. It's going to be northerly wind pushing into North Mississippi, and that northerly wind, as we found out the past couple of weeks, has cold air attached to it along with those dry conditions. So as we clear up those skies, it is going to be I just reached my move goal. It means we're moving a lot at the 10 o'clock broadcast. All right, as we take a look at our Wednesday evening, this is what it's going to look like. Clear skies, and that'll allow things to cool off overnight. So soak up the warmth while it's here. We're 61 Oxford, New Albany, 64 Amory and Houston, 66 around the Golden Triangle, and 67 Winston County and Noxubee County, 65 Belzona, 16 Cleveland, and there's the effects of that front already taking place with 57 Tunica, South Haven, and 59 Senatobia and Holly Springs. Now, that's not a significant drop whatsoever. We're not going to break away from those milder conditions, but it is going to be a bit of a step back as we get into our Thursday morning. Big part of it, again, is going to be this northerly wind, and that thin cloud cover isn't going to prevent that heat from escaping at the surface, that heat getting away from us, and that's allowing that cooler air to settle into the forecast once again. That carries over into those early morning hours of our Thursday, and as you can see, some breaks in that cloud cover is expected once again getting into our morning commute. So rain chances Thursday, non-existent, but it's going to be the cold weather as weather continues to be the story getting our Thursday started. But I told you it's going to be cold. Fortunately, our cold forecast this week is not a freezing forecast. We're 33 in Corinth, and that's the lowest temperature we're going to be starting out at on your Thursday morning. We're getting as warm as 40 degrees in Louisville, 41 Kosciuszko, and 41 Greenwood. So some areas better than others, but we do expect these temperatures to warm up as the day goes on and as that sunny sky is in the forecast. A fortunate part with those low temperatures as well, not much of a wind, and so that means wind chill is going to be pretty much a non-factor as well. So it makes it pretty bearable. Just add a couple layers and you'll be good to go. But as we keep that futurecast moving throughout your Thursday, we continue to see that sunshine in the forecast, and that is going to be a beautiful looking sky all day long, allowing those temperatures to heat right back up and those spring-like temperatures to return. That carries over into our Thursday afternoon hours and into the evening hours. So if you're looking to do anything, maybe head to a basketball game for your respective teams. If they are still in it, then it's going to be a good looking sky out there and pretty good temperatures as well. Speaking of temperatures, let's go ahead and take a look at that forecast. We're 63 in Tupelo, 58 in Iuka. We are 64 Water Valley, 66 Greenwood, 65 Belzona, and 66 Kosciuszko. Now this is a bit of a step back from where we were at on our Tuesday, but very similar to what we'll get on Wednesday, shows that this is going to be more the theme heading into the latter part of this week as those 60s do stick around. And that'll carry over into our Thursday, into our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So your SEC baseball forecast, if it was purely based on temperatures, looks phenomenal. But you see the icons. Yes, rain chances are in the forecast as well. We saw it for Valentine's Day. Opening weekend, should I say. It's not shaping up to be the best type of forecast. I do think there will be, a few breaks here and there for Friday, potentially a few breaks here and there on Sunday. Saturday, though, it's going to be more rain chances than not throughout the day, so make sure to have that rain gear ready. And this is for Ole Miss versus Nevada. We will be out there. Our meteorologist Maggie McCauley will be having live coverage out there as well as the game, I almost said tips off and kicks off. What's the baseball term? Throws the first pitch. There we go. As you can tell, did not play baseball much growing up. And speaking of baseball, let's go ahead and jump over there to Starkville, Mississippi State, taking on Hofstra. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, still seeing the mid to upper 60s, but rain chances in the forecast as well. A little bit more scattered in fashion Friday and Sunday, but Saturday, again, looks like the day that we're going to be having an umbrella by our side all day long. Gotta love it, right? Well, we do have that break on Thursday, so I don't want to overlook it. Once these rain chances clear out, we're talking Wednesday afternoon throughout our Thursday, looking like a good forecast with those mild temperatures pushing in by the afternoon. As that moisture builds back, those mild temperatures will as well, and so will those low temperatures climbing back up. I mean, Sunday morning, we're talking low 50s. This past Sunday morning, we were in the upper 20s, so weekends do change and weekends have trended in the right direction. Monday and Tuesday, as that system does clear on out, temperatures don't take much of a dip, and we're still going to have that more mild spring-like air. So if you've been enjoying it, over this next 7-day stretch, we're not tracking anything that's even close to freezing, and we're not complaining one bit. I do want to note that if you've seen anything on social media, because we have to address it, because I've seen it, and that means I know you guys have seen it, make sure to not believe that or follow those forecasts, because if we take a look at our 7-day forecast, do you see a single day where even our low temperatures are getting below freezing? No. And what that means is no winter weather can happen when our temperatures are not below freezing. Now, stormy weather is that's what we expect heading into this weekend. We, as of right now, aren't overly impressed with the ingredients on Saturday. Let's hope that continues to remain in play getting into our Wednesday broadcast, but we do expect it to kind of remain that same theme. Of course, keeping eyes on it behind the scenes, and I do hope that everyone has a fantastic night. As he said, when it's going to rain Wednesday. So let me go back to this real quick, and I believe that was Brenda asking. Brenda, I have a mediogram right here that basically shows the hour by hour for those rain chances. And as you can see, we carry those rain chances into the start of the day, but starts to taper out as we go into the back end of our Wednesday. So really those AM hours of our Wednesday, that's where we need to have that rain gear ready, and we'll be good to go. So make sure to have an umbrella, and I think you'll be all set. Cindy saying, I'll take it. The last 2 weeks were bad, and we're not looking for a rerun. Retweet. Or can you retweet if Twitter's not a thing anymore? I don't know, but I'm retweeting that 100 times over because I agree 100%. Do not want anything like the last 2 weeks. And I know that's for a lot of folks here in North Mississippi. We are grateful that there are better conditions because this is more bearable for folks that are still without power. But crews are still out, and we're hoping that number continues to diminish, and we expect it to do that as each day passes. Yes, and severe weather preparedness. We were talking at 6 o'clock a little bit about the severe weather preparedness, and let me see. You won't see Maggie's. So with severe weather preparedness is all this week. We do it at 6 o'clock during our broadcast discussing each topic. And so today was flash flooding. And as we get into our forecast on Wednesday, it is going to be, I believe, tornadoes, if I remember correctly. So preparing for that, staying safe, the information behind it, and just what you need to do whenever tornadoes are possible in the forecast. So we're going to be talking more about that, keeping this going all week long, and I'm glad that we're able to do so because each hazard is important and each hazard definitely needs to be taken into consideration. And so I'm going to drag in something real quick that basically shows us what we learned about today with that flash flooding potential. And this is some of those tips that we were talking about. So preparation tips before a flood, know your risk. Are you in a floodplain? I know a lot of areas here in Tupelo have some low-lying areas that are prone to flooding. So what I recommend to folks during that time is if you know that it's going to be a high amount of rainfall, not tonight, but say into this weekend, because there are some decent amounts coming out of that system, then maybe head to a higher elevated area to accommodate for those potential flooding conditions. Check your insurance for flood coverage if you are in one of those low-lying areas. But the biggest thing is, I would say, check number 3, check your storm drains for any debris, and that includes leaves, sticks. I mean, those two things are everywhere nowadays because of that winter storm that just moved through. But there's also trash. And so if there's any trash that's being thrown out the window and it's lingering on the side of the roads, all of that is going to be washed into those drains and unfortunately build it up to where flooding is a realistic possibility. And it happens every single time there's a large amount of rainfall. And so we want you guys to stay prepared and stay safe. And another big note with flooding, and I drag this in here real quick, it's turn around, don't drown, which we've heard that phrase time and time again, but be like this individual. You drive up, you clearly see there's water taking over the roadway, and you just turn around and this car didn't drown. And we hope that you guys follow that same policy. It's better to get to your destination a few minutes late than not get to your destination at all. And as you can see, just 6, 12, and 18 inches of water can change someone's day and potentially change someone's life, as it is a life-threatening danger. We see it year after year, some significant flooding events, including the Guadalupe floods that happened last year. So rainfall is its own type of danger, it's not technically severe weather, but it can be life-threatening weather. And so we want you guys to stay prepared, turn around, don't drown, get to those higher elevated areas. And before those storms do happen, if you live near a drain, it'd be worthwhile to get out there and clear some of those drains to allow that water to flow, drain out of the area, and not result in any floods. So I hope that you guys do take these notes and apply them to your life so that way we can stay safe heading into our spring season when severe weather becomes more likely. And as we get into that spring season, we will, of course, keep that coverage going all week long with severe weather preparedness. One note with our timeline is there will not be a state tornado drill tomorrow because of the ice storm recovery. So do not expect that throughout your day. And it should be just a rainy day at start, sunny day on the back end, but either way, no tornadoes aren't going to be in that forecast. All right, you guys have we don't need a flood. I agree 100%. What was last night? It was severe thunderstorms, which I encourage you. A good thing about our YouTube page and Matt's Facebook page is all of our broadcasts are on there. If you want to go rewatch any of those broadcasts for any tips, all of that is readily available at any point. You don't have to go look at a specific website. You don't have to go look anywhere and dig into the clutter. We are right there in your face so you can get as much of it as you want. So, Pat, I recommend that if you haven't done so already. And yes, Ricky, I agree 100% that we do not need any flooding rainfall, just no severe weather preparedness. Someone said because we're skipping the statewide tornado drill tomorrow, it's like, let's just skip tornado season altogether, right? I agree. It would be a much better, much calmer forecast and much more bearable. So I'm going to wrap it up. 10:30. I figure that's long enough with Gabbing with Gabe at 10 o'clock. But I do hope you guys listen to this and stay safe as we enter into this next season. And of course, we will be with you every step of the way on the Mississippi Live Weather app. Make sure to download that today on iOS and Android to stay prepared, stay safe, and add that extra layer of protection. And the best way to stay prepared is watching our live broadcasts. That next one is going to be at 6:30, 7, and 7:30 with meteorologist Maggie McCauley. We just talked about it. She's going to be tracking some showers across North Mississippi. Is that impacting your forecast? Tune in to find out. She'll have the very latest details live here from the Room to Room Weather Center. And we will be back at 5, 6, and 10 on your Wednesday evening. Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon and I can't wait to talk to you guys more about that extended forecast. Hopefully rain chances clear out a bit on the weekend. It's more wishful thinking than actual thinking, but we'll have all the latest details coming up on your Wednesday.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.